Welcome, Tailgate Legends, to my annual rookie draft pick video. As I'm sure everybody is aware by now, what I do is I do my rookie rankings scored in this league. I do my top 15 picks, and then I release the video as soon as everybody on my list is taken. And then I'll post the video, and it's fun. I think I've had some really fun picks in the past, and I've had some stinkers too. So it is what it is. It's fun though. Um, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna list off the draft order for now, but I think that's gonna change. I don't know. I'm gonna try to be a little more aggressive than normal during the rookie draft. Um, I'd really like to trade back into like the late first, early second round. I think there's some pretty good names there. Some good draft values. So we'll see what happens by the time I release this video. What's done is done. Um, so right now the rookie draft order is me, then Evan right after me, then Sam, Boggs at 4, Landon at 5, Whitey at 6, Lemke at 7, Prusky at 8, Lemish at 9, Evan again at 10, Lemish again at 11, and then Roofer at 12. That is the first round, and then 13, 14, 15 is Burns, Evan again, and Sam and Co. Um, yeah, dang. So Evan's got the number 2, number 10, and number 14. Dude, Evan's going to do some damage here. Uh, Shit. Okay. Okay. Um, all right. So here goes. This is my personal rookie. This is the way that I would rank them. I think normally normally I definitely don't go with consensus. As everybody knows, I know for a fact. I know for a fact that the way consensus has rookies ranked is 100% not going to work out like that. And there's a lot of times, quite a few times, that I look at players and I'm like, why is that player, why is his ADP so high? Or why is that player's ADP so low? And I like search the internet looking for reasons. I don't really find it. So it's like, okay. I try to do my rankings before doing anything else. And I mean, like, I won't look at anybody else's rankings. Like, I generally have a good idea of where people have, the rookies ranked. But when I do my initial rankings, I try to be as unbiased as humanly possible. Then I'll read some other people's rankings, and then switch things up accordingly as I get new and better information. But sometimes it's like, I don't know, that just doesn't make sense. Um, so here goes. Number one, nobody is surprised. It is Bijan. Bijan is number one. I think I traded for this pick. I was pretty aggressive, going after this pick. Um, I knew last year, I mean, the beginning of last year, I knew that I wanted Bijan. Um, I traded a few first rounders. Bijan is going to get taken number one. I'm going to take him tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's the day before the draft right now, in case anybody's wondering. Um, so I don't think anybody's really going to argue with that. He's he's a good prospect. Hopefully, he stays healthy, and knock on wood, everything goes good. So, Bijan number one. Number two, I have Jackson Smith and Jigba. Um, Number two and number three were really tough for me. Very interchangeable players, um, depending on your team, depending on how aggressive you want to be. Um, so I have Jackson Smith and Jigba because he's just really, really, really good. I mean, as far as just straight talent, I think he's the second most talented player in the draft. And that's really why I put him at number two. I know he's kind of buried in the depth chart. Um, but, Tyler Lockett's not getting any younger. DK Metcalf is not the same type of player as Jackson Smith and Jigba, JSN. So I think there's going to be plenty of targets for him. I think he ends his rookie year probably right around 700 yards, which I think would be a really good rookie year. And then going into his second year, who knows what's going to happen with Tyler Lockett, Metcalf, and the quarterback position. I don't know, but I just know that JSN is the second most talented player in the draft, and that's why ultimately I put him at number two, um, ahead of number three, who is I have Jahmyr Gibbs. So Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously ultra talented, and I think he provides. I think he provides a higher ceiling than JSN does, um, and he's a running back. There's probably half the teams in this league I would advise taking Gibbs over JSN, and then the other half I would say take JSN. I would take JSN because I don't really need to risk the upside. I would just rather have the. I would take the conservative JSN, knowing, listen, he's in a good system. He's at a good organization. Um, I know it seems like the Lions are kind of turning the corner, but I don't know. The Lions running backs traditionally have not panned out. Obviously, they had Barry 30 freaking years ago. And then DeAndre Swift was pretty good. DeAndre Swift was good, but he was hurt all the time and just relied on big plays so much. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is a little bit like he's obviously very explosive, but he's a little more of an in between the tackles runner, which is what I think the Lions are looking for. So, like I said, I think Gibbs provides a lot, a lot of upside, more than JSN even. But I did put JSN ahead of him, but Gibbs obviously still very, very, very good. Number four, I have Quentin Johnston. Yeah, I really, really, really like the talent, and more importantly, I love his situation. Coming in with Justin Herbert, um, he's a big body, and Justin Herbert just loves big guys. Mike Williams, who knows what's going to happen with Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen, who knows what's going to happen with Keenan Allen. In a year or two, it could be Justin Herbert throwing to Quentin Johnston, 180 times a year. Like he might be looking at 150 to 180 targets in 2 years. I mean that. Quentin Johnston, the situation that he's in, the body type that he has, like man, I would love to have the fourth or fifth pick. I would scoop up Quentin Johnston in a heartbeat. I'm very, very excited for Quentin Johnston. Um, Obviously, there are some issues, like he's not quite as talented as somebody like Gibbs or Njigba, which is why I have him below them. But, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Quentin Johnston ends up as the best receiver out of this class. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. So that's why I got him at number four. Number five. This is probably going to be a little bit of a shocker. This is my first spicy take today. Um, Number five, I have Kendre Miller. Um, there's at least a few of you out there right now that are like, who the fuck are you talking about? And you have him in your top five. Kendre Miller is a running back for the Saints. He's got a great body type. I want to say he's like 5'10", 210 pounds, 215 pounds, something like that. Like, ugh, he looks like an animal, and he's fairly athletic too. So I think that Kendre Miller could end up being that guy that just comes out of the woodwork. I understand they have Jamal Williams there, but Jamal Williams, did not sign that big of a contract. And then they got Alvin Kamara there, so maybe it takes a year for Kendre Miller to really start standing out. I don't know, but I do know he's very talented. He's in a really good, or he's in a good situation where it could work out really well for him in a year. You might have to wait on him for a year. You might have to, but I really think that it would pay off. Um, yeah, I really think in the long run, Kendra Miller is going to pay off for somebody. Okay, next, number six, I have Jordan Addison. I love Jordan Addison. He's super talented, and I think he's going to pair really well with Justin Jefferson. Um, the only thing that the only thing that scares me a little bit, and I think most of you guys know, I am a little skittish on I'm a little skittish on smaller receivers and running backs, I guess. Um, it's just the health, and I don't know. It's so hard now because it does feel like the NFL is transitioning a little bit into more of a speed game. 'Cause you can't really put hands on receivers like you used to be able to. And I don't know, it does feel like the NFL is starting to transition where the smaller, faster guys can excel a little bit more, but I don't think we're quite there yet. Jordan Addison, super talented, a little bit smaller for my liking, but I still have him at number six, and I'd be very comfortable taking him in the middle of the first round. Um, so yeah, number seven, I have Zach Charbonnet. I do have him at number seven still. Um, this is obviously very, very tricky. This one could go either way. If you're Burns, where does Burns pick? Burns picks not in the first round, so Burns picks at 13. And I guess there's a chance that Charbonnet falls to him, because Burns has Kenneth Walker, who's also in Seattle, as I'm sure most of you know. And that's really what makes Zach Charbonnet like pretty risky. Here's my thing about Charbonnet, and it is kind of a theory and it is kind of a guess. If you're picking in the middle of the first round, you don't really want to be drafting on guesses. So I don't know, but here's my guess. My guess is Zach Charbonnet, I think, fits the mold of what Pete Carroll likes in a running back. Um, if you guys remember, they had Chris Carson starting over like much bigger names for a long time. Pete Carroll just likes those bigger running backs, and Zach Charbonnet can catch out of the backfield too. I don't know. I think there's a chance that Zach Charbonnet just ends up getting a lot more work than people think. I just get that feeling. I get that feeling that Charbonnet is going to be a stud, and Kenneth Walker is going to take a little bit of a back seat. I just get that feeling, but I don't know. Um, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm really really intrigued. If I was at I don't know, the 9, 10, 8, 9, 10 spot, I'd feel really comfortable taking him. I have him at seven, and that's only because I'm looking at the rest of my list, and I'm like, well, I don't really know who I would have ahead of him, so that's why I got him at seven. Zach Charbonnet, I think, is just maybe the most intriguing player in this draft for me. So really curious to see what happens. Um, Next, at number eight, I have Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, again, you know, it kind of goes back to like the Justin Jefferson draft where you saw Jalen Rager going in the first round. You saw a lot of receivers going in the first round, and CeeDee Lamb worked out. Justin Jefferson worked out. Well, you had um, who else did you have? I think you had like Hamlin go. He was a little later though, but and then you had Jalen Rager going in the first round. You had God, I feel like I should look it up, but either way, that draft, the smaller receivers just didn't quite pan out. The bigger ones did. You don't have to be huge, but you got to be bigger than fucking what Zay Flowers is. And Zay Flowers is like, I don't know, 5'9", 175 is like a guess. I'm actually going to look this up. I'm going to look it up. I got to fact check myself here. Um, come on. not only that, but the situation with the Ravens, Lamar Jackson does not doesn't pass for a ton of yards. They have Rashad Bateman coming back. Who knows what's going to happen there? I don't know. The whole Rashad Bateman thing is really weird too. And then you got Mark Andrews there, and you got Odell there now, and um, what the heck? Um, yeah, here we go. Zay Flowers, 5'9", 180. Yeah, that's pretty small. Um, so I don't know. That scares me a little bit. So that's why I have Zay Flowers a little bit lower. Like I could see, and I don't know this. I haven't talked to anybody about these players, but I could see a couple people really liking Zay Flowers. Like Lemke. I could see Lemke loving Zay Flowers. I don't know why your name comes to my head, but it just does. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just get the feeling that as long as he stays healthy, I feel like he's going to have a couple catches a game, and he might be able to break one, and he might not be able to. I don't know. So we'll see what happens though. Zay Flowers is a pretty intriguing name. I wouldn't even draft him. Like there's just players I wouldn't draft. Zay Flowers is one of them, and who was another one? Jordan Addison. I just wouldn't. He's just not my kind of player. I have Justin Jefferson too, so there's that. But I don't know. There's just certain players. It's like I don't know. Zay Flowers. I would have to be at like the beginning of the second round for me to say, okay, I'll take Zay Flowers. But where he's going, it's like I just know that there's players. Depending on their draft position, I just know there's some players I'm not going to get. So Zay Flowers at number 8. Number 9, I have Anthony Richardson. This was tough. We're in a one quarterback league, so ranking the quarterbacks, mixing the quarterbacks in with the skill positions, it does get tough, and it gets really tough. And like Anthony Richardson, I don't know. I have the feeling that he just has bust written all over him. He just does to me. Maybe he's a bust. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I know he has a ton of upside though. Like, dude can run. Dude can run like a madman. I mean, he's big. He's a big guy. He can throw the ball a mile. I think, maybe it takes a year or two. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe he could be like the better passing version of Justin Fields. I think he is that good of a runner. Maybe not quite as good as Fields, but I don't know, maybe he is. So Anthony Richardson, just because of the rushing, I had him as the number one quarterback. But I don't know, like I don't feel like super 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 comfortable taking any quarterback in the first round in this draft. I just don't. Not to say that none of them can be great, because I think Anthony Richardson can be a great fantasy football quarterback. Um, I just, I don't know. I'm real sketched out by this draft in general. Like remember the Kyler Murray draft? I took Kyler early because I was just sketched out by the whole draft. And a few people, I look back on that draft, and a couple people did pan out, like AJ Brown panned out, DK Metcalf panned out. DK Metcalf went in like the end of the first round though. But there were not that many players in that draft that really worked out. So the only reason I took Kyler is because I needed a quarterback, and he could run and he could throw. He's a first overall pick. And so I just got him for the security. Anthony Richardson just isn't that though. So I don't know. Next, I have CJ Stroud at number 10. Again, it's like, I don't know. I don't even, it feels like I ranked him too high here. Because again, CJ Stroud isn't even a runner. Well, not like, Fields or Richardson, but, and CJ Stroud doesn't really have anybody to throw to either. So I don't even know why I have CJ Stroud at 10, to be completely honest with you. I have him there because I think he's actually the best quarterback in the draft. That's what I think. Um, Bryce Young is very good. I personally think that CJ Stroud is the best quarterback in this draft. And if anybody has the lowest bust, um, has the lowest chances of being a bust as a quarterback, I think it's C.J. Stroud. I really do. Um, like Bryce Young, I think is going to be a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he has a ton of upside. Like I just don't think his ceiling is super super high. His ceiling to me is like I don't know, maybe like Dak Prescott or Tua. You know what I mean? Just like they're not bad. They're pretty good, and they'll give you some really good games. But C.J. Stroud, I think, has a way higher ceiling than Richardson or Bryce Young. So but Richardson has the rushing. But Richardson could be out of the league in 2 years too. I don't know, man. C.J. Stroud. I mean, I think that Stroud will be in the league much longer than Anthony Richardson. So there's that. All right, next. C.J. Stroud, I have a 10. 11, I have Jonathan Mingo. I do. It's another spicy one. Kind of. We're already at number 11. So now Jonathan Mingo, I think the path for Jonathan Mingo reminds me of Christian Watson, where they were both good in college, like pretty good in college, but then you start looking at like the Senior Bowl and all the workouts, and then all of a sudden you're just shooting up draft boards, and then you're really looking at him and you're like, holy shit, this guy's actually really good, and in a really good situation. If you wanted to take Jonathan Mingo over Zay Flowers, I I would not I wouldn't argue with that one bit. Jonathan Mingo is like literally the only target, the only like legit target in Carolina. I mean, he could end up getting in his rookie year, he could end up getting 100 targets. Like it wouldn't shock anybody if he did. Um, Now he could also be a bust. He doesn't have the first round draft capital, and so you never really know. But I think Jonathan Mingo is really really good, and I'm actually going to look because I think he's a bigger guy too. Um, God, this site that I'm on, just looking at the players, the site has Jonathan Mingo ranked 22. Oh, jeez. Yeah, he's 6'2", 220 pounds. That's exactly what I want in a receiver. Exactly. If you were like, hey, Mike, what is your prototypical receiver? I'd say, yeah, 6'1", 6'2", 210 to 220 pounds. Yeah. Um, those are the kinds of guys that I love drafting. So, like I said, if somebody drafted Jonathan Mingo over Zay Flowers or even Jordan Addison, I mean, Jonathan Mingo is the only freaking receiver there. So I have no problem somebody taking Jonathan Mingo early. Um, so yeah, that's what I got at number 11. Number 12, I have Devin A. Chain, running back from the Dolphins. Again, like he's pretty small. Again, um, yeah, A Chain is small, speedy. Like the Dolphins have so much speed on their team. It's like kind of scary. It's like Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Devin A Chain. But the smaller running backs, they don't get as much work traditionally. It's like those smaller running backs, they're not getting a heavy workload no matter what. I mean, he might be good. He still might only touch the ball 10 to 15 times. 15 tops. And that's if everybody else is hurt. Like he's probably only touching the ball, I don't know, 8 to 12 times probably a game. And it's like, well, if he doesn't bust one, you're fucked. So, I got him at the back of the first round because he does have upside. I mean, who knows? With his speed, if he can stay healthy and he can, get it together, he could be like really, really, really good. Um, I don't foresee that happening, but it could, So that's who I got. That's my first round. I am going to 15 though. So number 13, this would be the first pick of the second round. Number 13, and I did this on purpose. I have Dalton Kincaid from the Bills. I have him in the second round because in my last video, I put on there one of my cardinal rules. Cardinal rules that I follow: no tight ends in the first round, even though I have broke that rule in the past 5 years. Um, No tight ends in the first round. I got Dalton Kincaid, first pick of the second round. That pick is also owned by Burns. I know Burns has taken Dalton Kincaid. I know it. If he doesn't get taken earlier, um, I don't know. You got Roofer at 12. Roofer might take Dalton Kincaid. I don't know. Um, really love the guy. He's just he's an athlete. He's just an athlete. But the biggest thing is he's playing for the Bills. Um, he's playing for Josh Allen. He's playing for a legitimate offense. They have Stephon Diggs, hopefully. Um, they got Diggs. They got um, Dawson Knox. They got Dawson Knox at tight end. And I just traded for Dawson Knox. That Dawson Knox thing, I think that Dawson Knox still has like a pretty similar year to what he had last year. I'm not actually that worried about Dawson Knox. Um, but then opposite of Stephon Diggs, they have the other receiver that I traded last year, and I can't remember his name. Um, who was like he's pretty good, but yeah, Dalton Kincaid he's a man, and he can catch the ball, he can run, just a real workhorse, real leader, real leader. Um, okay, Dalton Kincaid at 13, 14. That's where I have Bryce Young at 14. Early second round, it's like early in the second round, that's exactly the kind of player that I want. Bryce Young is going to be my fantasy football backup. I'm not going to draft him, but whoever drafts him, he's going to be their fantasy football backup QB for the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years, who knows. Um, and he's going to get you some good games. He's going to be able to come in, get you a decent 20 to 30, 20 to 25 points ish. We'll see. Um, Whenever your starter's out or whenever you're on, a bye week or whatever, Bryce Young, that's your guy. Next, last but not least, number 15, I have Marvin Mims. Yeah, some of you guys probably don't know who he is either. Marvin Mims is a receiver for the Broncos. Um, Marvin Mims, I just think has a lot of upside. Not in his first year though. Um, yeah, not in his first year. They have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy. Who knows? By the start of the season, they might not have those guys. But Marvin Mims is 5'11", so he's not 5'9". He's 5'11". That's a big difference. 182 pounds, 180 pounds. So he's a little bit bigger than Zay Flowers. Um, but if Russell Wilson gets his stuff together even a little bit, which I think at the end of last year he showed, okay, they can probably get it together. And I think the coaching staff last year for the Broncos was ass. So Sean Payton, I just think that Sean Payton gets it together. And Marvin Mims, again, man, it's like if you told me in 5 years that Marvin Mims was better than Jordan Addison or Zay Flowers, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, and that's the way the NFL goes. That's the way these receivers go, man. It's crazy, and you guys know me, man. I will draft anybody if I think they're going to be the best player in the NFL. That's who I'm drafting. You got to go out, you got to get your guys, you got to learn from mistakes, you got to roll with the punches. So that's my rookie draft order. I'll go through it one more time. It's number 1, Bijan. Number 2, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Number 3, Jahmyr Gibbs. 4, Quentin Johnston. 5, Kendre Miller. 6, Jordan Addison. 7, Zach Charbonnet. 8, Zay Flowers. 9, Anthony Richardson. 10, C.J. Stroud. 11, Jonathan Mingo. 12, Devin Achane. 13, Dalton Kincaid. 14, Bryce Young. And 15, Marvin Mims. I hope you guys are having a really good draft, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.